Good morning. You know, today's the second round of the Masters Golf Tournament. I told you yesterday that this is one of my favorite sporting events of the entire year. I'm having a great time already watching this tournament, and I look forward to the weekend and seeing how things continue to progress and unfold. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You know, every year when the Masters comes around, I always think about Arnold Palmer. It's hard for me to separate the Masters Golf Tournament from Arnold Palmer. It was actually back in 2013 that I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to go to the Masters. You see, that year my brother had entered into their lottery ticket system, and his name was drawn, and had the opportunity to purchase tickets to a Wednesday practice round there at Augusta. And so he was able to buy 3 tickets. So he and my brother and I, my dad and I, all went together, and we went and saw the Wednesday practice round. Now, if you're familiar with the Masters, you know that Wednesday is a very special day. It's not just any practice round, but on Wednesday, after the players are done with their practice session on the big course, they'll head over to the small par 3 course for a par 3 contest. And that's always a lot of fun. It's just kind of a laid-back environment where they bring their kids and their wives and girlfriends and families. And some of the older players will come back and play at the par 3 contest as well. And so when I was there in 2013, we went to the par 3 contest and actually got to see Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player and Arnold Palmer play in the par 3 contest together. It would be one of the last years that he would ever play in the par 3 contest, and it was so special to get to see Arnold Palmer play golf in that setting. He's been one of my heroes of the game and an incredible man who blessed so many people throughout his life. But Arnold Palmer was certainly known throughout his life for having all of his fans. Arnie's Army is what they've always called it. It was actually fascinating, the history behind that name, Arnie's Army. It actually started at the Masters. It was back in 1958 that Clifford Roberts and Bobby Jones, who started the Masters Golf Tournament, well, they were trying to get this tournament up and going. It was still in the first early decades of the tournament, and television wasn't quite as big as what it is now, and you didn't have all the marketing things that you have now, and so they were trying to get this tournament up and going and really trying to build support for it and build the fan base. There was a nearby camp, Camp Gordon, for the military there. And so you had all these soldiers who were nearby. And so Clifford Roberts and Bobby Jones, they went over to Camp Gordon and they recruited the soldiers to come and help work the scoreboards. It would be their job to stand up there and to change out the names and the scores and to update it so that everybody could see the big scoreboard and know who was in the lead. So these soldiers would come and they would do that, but they also made a deal that any soldier who showed up at the gates at Augusta National for the Masters in uniform would be able to get in for free. It's incredible to think about, just shocking to think about in today's world that anybody would get to just go to that golf tournament for free, but that's how it was back then in 1958. So you had all these soldiers who were there at the Masters, some of them working the scoreboards, and others of them in uniform following along and watching the players. Now, in those days, golf was really seen as kind of the rich man's game. But Arnold Palmer kind of broke the mold a little bit. He was this guy from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, a blue-collar town from a blue-collar family. And he was just kind of a down-home good old boy, and the people just loved him. He had actually spent some time in the Coast Guard, and so now you had all these soldiers who were there from the military, and they looked to Arnold Palmer and said, he's one of us. He's a blue-collar guy. He's former military. He's just like us. So all these players started following Arnold Palmer. This was early in his career. It was as they were coming down the back nine that there was one of the soldiers who was working up on a scoreboard. And he wrote down on this poster in his handwriting and the poster said, "Here comes Arnie's Army." Because you saw this whole big group of soldiers in uniform following Arnold Palmer. It looked like his army. He held up this poster, and it was from there that the phrase caught on, Arnie's Army. Later, Arnold Palmer said he never did learn the name of the man who wrote that on that poster board, but he's always been grateful for him coming up with that phrase. From there, that title would be used in newspaper headlines, and it would be used in so many different other places. And over the years, the popularity of Arnie's Army would continue to grow. So much so that by the time Arnold Palmer retired from playing competitive golf, he wanted to find a way to still use that phrase, Arnie's Army, to do something good. And so they started a charitable foundation to help benefit children and healthcare industry and women in different hospitals, helping to build new hospitals and start new programs, something that Arnold Palmer was always so very passionate about. And Arnie's Army, rather than cheering him on for golf, can now get behind this charitable cause, helping to support children and women and making a difference in the healthcare industry and bringing healing to the lives of others. Arnie's Army has gone on to do incredible things. And it all started because one man had an idea and wrote it down on a poster board. And another man, Arnold Palmer, took advantage of the opportunity that he had to use his influence to make a positive difference in the world. You know, as I think about Arnie's Army, I can't help but think that we all have opportunities to make a difference in the world. We all have opportunities to take advantage of what's been placed in front of us, to do something that blesses life. Whether it's getting people together and starting a movement, or whether it's using our influence and our position to bring awareness to issues that really matter and helping to do something that blesses life and blesses the world. We all have time, we all have talents, we all have opportunities where we can bless life, where we can be kind to each other and encourage one another. We all have opportunities where we can do something that will help to build a better world. I hope today and this weekend, as we're enjoying the Masters Golf Tournament, that we can think about Arnold Palmer and Arnie's Army. And remember that each and every one of us, if we have our eyes open to it, can do something that really does make a difference. I hope you enjoy the Masters.